Okay. All right. So, welcome to the Aligned Habits Workshop. I'm Ben Parvey. So happy you're here with us today. Uh, Before we get going, I want to make sure you know that you're. We want you to feel free to share. That you can put things in the chat, and also, feel free to raise your hand or share your thoughts and get some feedback. Raise your hand and come on camera and go ahead and talk on the mic. So we're going to have different engagement prompts after each of our sections, and feel free to share during those periods of time. Happy to give you some feedback on setting your goals and habits and finding your true self. So that's what we're going to do today. Um, so first, I want to start with a quick prompt to get you thinking, and that is, what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? A lot of times we implement these habits and say, if I could just do this one thing, whether that's, not procrastinate or exercise or diet or certain work goals, certain habits that we have that we wish we could stick to. So, what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And we'll give you just a second to think about that. And like I said, feel free to share. Chad shared there, staying off social media. Certainly understand that one. I think that's one a lot of people struggle with nowadays. Yeah, Eileen, procrastination certainly is a big one. That's one I struggled with for many, many years. I think you'll find that some of the tools that we talk about today help in overcoming procrastination by being very, very clear on our goals and implementing habits that align with our goals and our true self. So I know I've overcome procrastination substantially over the years, but that was through a lot of hard work and intentional practice. It doesn't just happen by saying, okay, today I'm not going to procrastinate, but it does come with, setting your goals, aligning your habits, starting your day by accomplishing a big task every day and doing the hardest thing first. Yeah, it certainly is a tough nut to crack, but I don't know. I've worked really hard on it. Not that it doesn't creep in anymore, but I've found and discovered tools that help me overcome that. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share? All right. Well, as we get going today, we're going to start with a grounding exercise. So, I want to encourage you to be fully present here today. Chad had mentioned staying off social media, and another part of that is that we want to be fully present in all things we do. But right now, I want you to be fully present here to get the most out of this workshop. You took the time out of your day to be here today, and we do these every week. So it's just, we love meeting new people and creating this opportunity and creating space to learn about your true self, set big goals, and implement habits that align with your goals. So be fully present here. So to do that, I just want to take a few moments to find our breath. Don't check social media and email. Be fully present here today. And we're going to do that first by taking 3 deep breaths through our nose, then holding it at the top, and then exhaling that through our mouth. So 3 deep breaths. So first, we're going to start by taking a deep breath in through your nose and hold the air up at the top. Hold it up at the top, small sips of air, into the bottom of your stomach, and then hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and sigh it out. We're going to do that 2 more times. So take a deep breath through your nose, hold it at the top, and sigh it out. Let it all go. And one more time. And if you can, close your eyes, or if that's not comfortable for you, just maybe let your eyelids, close a little bit. Maybe bring your gaze down low. You don't have to close your eyes if that's not comfortable, but if you can, close your eyes or bring your gaze down low. Take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it at the top, and then sigh it out. Now, continuing with your eyes closed or with your gaze down low, take just another 30 seconds to find your normal breath. Not deep breaths in or out. You don't have to sigh it out, just normal breath for about 30 seconds. We're just going to breathe and be fully present here today so that we're ready to use our minds and contemplate our future and set goals and habits that will help us be successful, get rid of that procrastination or focus on our big tasks. So just take 30 seconds. Let thoughts come and go. Don't focus on any thought. Let your thoughts just flow through your mind like clouds floating through the sky. Give you 30 seconds just to breathe. All right, let's go ahead and start being fully present here and get into today's workshop, which is about getting consistent in your habits. So if you struggle to stay consistent, you're not falling short in life. You've just been trying to force a version of success that may not have been aligned with who you truly are. So today we're going to reset that and we're going to rebuild from your true self. So what we're going to cover today is first, why most goals fail. Second, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits, meaning habits that will support you in achieving your goals. And lastly, how to get back up when life throws you off your routine or how to overcome setbacks. So, if you're ready to get going and have a desire to make this happen, I want to share a quote I love with you from Napoleon Hill, who said, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything." So, if you have a desire to make this your best year yet and move past all that has held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we're going to turn that desire into action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action you can take today to live the life of your dreams. So, if that sounds good, we're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So, how do I know this works? I know it works because I've done it. I've done it over the last 7 years. It took me a ton of trial and error and learning to get to the point where my big goals and my daily habits are aligned so I can live the life of my dreams every day. With 5 kids ranging in ages from 3 to 16 and running 2 different businesses, I have to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we can all live happily and productive. Now, I decided back in 2018, so over 7 years ago, that I wanted to figure out why I wasn't achieving what I hoped to achieve, why I was looking in the mirror with disappointment and not seeing the joyful and successful person I'd hoped to be. I'm going to save you years worth of learning and mistakes to become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams. But don't worry, this isn't that hard. It just requires a system that works for you. And taking all that I've learned over these last 7 years that have helped me succeed as a husband and father and running business and helping my community, I want to share that with you. And it just requires a system that works for you. And we put that in place for you. So first, we want to start with what I mentioned earlier when I told you what we're going to cover today. And that is why most goals fail. We want to discuss past failure and reveal why clarity and alignment matter more than just willpower. At the beginning of the year, we held an inspiring 8-week course called Thrive in 25 to kick the year off right by implementing big goals. And at the beginning of this course, I shared with the entrepreneurs, professionals, and parents joining us a statistic that I read on New Year's Day on LinkedIn. And it said less than 9% of adults achieve one New Year's goal, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. So most people have goals and want to improve their lives, but yet they fall short. So why? Why does that happen? And we put a lot of research and time into learning what keeps people from hitting their goals. So some of the common reasons that goals don't stick are first, an unclear vision. So you set some big goals, but the vision for your life and where that goal is getting you may not be entirely clear. Next, External pressure or distractions, all the things that come into us that keep us from staying focused on our goals and all the distractions in modern life, which we're going to cover a decent amount today. Third, an unrealistic pace. So you may be clear and have some great big goal that you really feel excited to achieve, but you say you want to achieve, it in 1 year, but it's something you may not humanly be able to achieve in less than 3 years. So I've experienced failure with that related to a big goal I had set for a company we started a few years ago. And there was no way we were going to be able to do what we had set out to do. And lastly, a lack of identity and alignment. And this may be the most important one, and we're going to really work on today. And that is that your goals are not aligned with your true self. So these are some of the things that keep us from our goals. And I love this quote by Robert Brault, who said, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us. So these folks here were on their way to the summit, but then they saw a sign that said, "Great view over here." So they all rushed over there and went to this scenic overlook instead of climbing to the top of the mountain like the folks in the next slide. So these people, they weren't kept from their goal by an obstacle. They kept to that path. They kept on the path and got to the summit for the even better view, the more magnificent view, thousands of feet higher than that clear path to a lesser goal or the scenic overlook. So, some of the distractions that keep us from our goal are those clear path to lesser goals. Does scrolling through news or social media get you to your goal faster? No, of course not. It fills your brain with negative inputs of others, wastes your time, and takes your mind off what matters most. Our addictions today to the phone, alcohol, drugs, and the negative news keep us distracted from our goals. The distractions keep us from what matters most, from our dreams and from our loved ones. Blaise Pascal, the famous French inventor and mathematician, said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries." We all have certain vices and bad habits that we want to overcome. We may not even recognize the dependence as a problem, but still, it may take us from our natural state. And when we're taken from our natural state, we don't operate at our best. When you operate at your best, you put good stuff into your body and your mind, and you keep only positive inputs coming into your life. So even if you're not distracted by all the modern distractions of life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to a lesser goal. That smaller project or goal comes up that's easily achievable, or someone knocks on your door, shoots you an email and says, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" So we jump into it, leaving our big goals and dreams behind. We put what we want on hold for others or just by the distractions of life. That small hit of saying, "Yes, you'll help out," or accomplishing small goals, it makes us feel some accomplishment because we are accomplishing some lesser thing, but it delayed your real goal. Your true self knows this, and your inner voice calls to you to come back to your big goals. You may experience some success by those small achievements, but it's not the real success that your true self requires of you to accomplish your big, impossible goals. Misaligned goals create confusion and burnout. And when you lack clarity, your nervous system can't trust the distraction. So those misaligned goals lead to burnout because you keep pushing and pushing to hit these small goals. And inside, you're supposed to be accomplishing your true goals and living as your true self. That's why so many seemingly successful people are not happy. We put a lot of research into this and understood that a lot of people who seem successful are miserable because they may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks. Inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits and all the action they take with their big goals. And it creates confusion and leads to burnout and anxiety. Your nervous system and brain feel like they can't trust the direction you take. So you go one way when you know you need to go another. And it creates anxiety and confusion. But clarity brings confidence. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Another reason goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. We're going to cover true self decent amount today. Gandhi said, we shut our ears to that still small voice inside us. When you listen to that small voice inside, you know what to do. Listening, truly listening to your inner voice propels us into our future with clarity. We all have a small voice within that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life, nudges us to our personal and professional dreams, and clamors for love and happiness. I want you to give a megaphone to that still small voice within. That is your true self and your higher power directing you where to go. So when you listen to your inner voice, you are aligned and living on purpose. And we're going to help you get that alignment today. Goals that are not aligned with your true self create confusion and burnout, and that leads to anxiety, as we said. And when you're clear on your goals and they are aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. And that's what I want for you. So we're going to work on that a little bit today. So now we're going to start by going backwards a little bit. And I want you to take a minute, as we mentioned at first, as you came on, if you have a pen or pencil and a journal or piece of paper, you can do it on your computer too, but it's better, I think, to be able to write physically with your hand on paper than it is to be on the computer. And also, don't get distracted right now while we do journal prompts and hop into email and social media and checking text with folks. Right now, be here for you. So right now, take just a couple minutes and maybe 2 minutes and think of a goal you set in the past and didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? So, in order to start working on our big goals and living as our true selves and then setting the habits that align with those goals, first we're going to go back a little bit and maybe just think of a goal you might have set in the past but didn't reach. What do you think really got in the way? Take 2 minutes, think about that, journal that. And then again, feel free to share if you don't want to, that's fine. But we'll be back in like 2 minutes and feel free to share. You can put items in the chat or raise your hand and come on camera and we can review them together. All right. And I'll be sharing mine as well. All right. Take just 2 minutes for that.
Stories I've been told, I walk through the valley of my own shadow. From all old stories I've been told, I walk through the valley of my own shadow. Always mad with you and them for the search to die. It's in my own mind and to trust the vision of the lives I've lived before this solace.
All right, maybe take just another 30 seconds or so. All right. Let's come back and just, this is just a beginning exercise as we're talking about why some goals fail. And, you know, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about some of the reasons goals fail that, unrealistic pace. For me, that was one. We started a new company a few years ago, which I may mention later, but it was to take people off grid. So I've run a clean energy company for 17 years now called Blue Sky Power. And we started a new company called OhmGrid. And we were going to try to get to like thousands of customers within a short period of time. You know, I think we didn't get the investment we hoped for that company and it didn't work out. I think in large part because we set unrealistic goals. I mean, we had an unrealistic pace to get to those goals. So if we had made it longer, it might have been achievable. So, we pulled the plug on that and it didn't work out. And, now after doing more research on goals, I realize why. Anyone else want to share a goal they may have set in the past but didn't reach? And what do you think got in the way? All right. Again, feel free to share in the chat. If you want to put something in, even as we move on, we can always come back to it. So now I want to talk about, aligning your goals with your true self. So we're going to talk about setting big, expansive goals and ones that excite you and not shame you, the ones that align with your true self and ensure that your habits are sustainable and energizing because they're aligned with who you truly are. So you get there through alignment and deliberate practice. So it is good to have good habits, no doubt about it. But where are they getting you? You can set some habits. It certainly is good to work out or read or do certain other daily habits, but you also want to have an idea about where those are getting you, and are they aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? There are only so many hours in the day and only so many things we can achieve. So it's really important to set habits that align with your goals, which are aligned with your true self. So you need to know where you're headed, and you need to set goals, and you need to make them big. One thing we're going to talk about today is making big, big goals, because that way you're excited to achieve them. So we want to start by going big. And we want to look at where you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years. Don't worry about where you are right now. It doesn't really matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70. Founder of the global advisory firm Strategic Coach, guy named Dan Sullivan, he set a 25-year plan when he was at age 75 to go even bigger in his personal and professional life. That's what excites him. He'll probably make it to 100 to hit that because he's focused and excited by what he's doing. He's not just going and playing golf all day, which he certainly could. Instead, he has a big vision he wants to achieve. There's no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point, but you have to think bigger. So, what is your big inspired goal? What seems outrageous to others, but you know in your heart is what you need to do? It's always been there. This is your North Star. It's the direction you need to head. Who do you want to be in 10 years? We're going to start with that fundamental question. We're going to work backwards from 10 years and then down to 3, and then down to this month, this quarter, and this year. And then we're going to talk about the daily habits that bring those goals to life, because they all link. Fundamental question is, are you the same person that you were 10 years ago? Almost everyone says no. But the crazy thing is, when we set goals and plan for the future, we do that as though we'll be ourselves today, but just a little bit older. But that's not the case. You'll be a totally different person in 10 years. I mean, if I look where I was 10 years ago, I am very much a totally different person today. I've grown so much and I've done so many things that have transformed who I am. I mean, I have 5 kids, but 3 of those I've had within the last 10 years. I mean, they've fundamentally changed who I am. I mean, a lot of things have changed over the last 10 years. I'm a totally different person. There's a concept called perspection, which is the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. So when we envision future scenarios, like where we want to be in 10 years, most of the times we limit ourselves to what we know now. But yet, there are no limits to where we can be. Our goal in this workshop is to open our minds to think without limits. So you're not just saying, hey, I want to set some goals and I'm going to make those based on who I am today. No, you want to set those based on who you can be, who you know you can be in the future. So I want to share a quick story, and that is, I want to share a quick story, and that is when I was just 27, I was wrapping up my second year of law school, and It's one night and I'm standing in the kitchen. My left leg feels a little warm. And that night I went to sleep. My legs started twitching every couple seconds. And then 2 days later, I couldn't even lift my left foot. And 2 days after that, I couldn't even hold a pen in my right hand or type, which is kind of essential for law school exams. And so my body was spinning, or my head was spinning, and my body was deteriorating. And I mean, I'm only 27. I had just been elected class president and editor in chief of law school, and my bright future was quickly dimming. MRIs showed that I had lesions on my brain and my spinal cord. This was the onset of multiple sclerosis. And I was absolutely despondent. I was wondering if I was going to die or end up in a wheelchair. I mean, I was relieved when my dad, who's a doctor, told me, with MS, I'm not going to die right now, but that it could get worse. I'm thinking, worse? How's limping along and not being able to use my hand going to get any worse? But I learned something then. It was the next day after getting the MRI, and I was in the neurologist office awaiting more tests and a spinal tap. And I was sitting in the lobby waiting to see the neurologist, and I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I didn't feel despondent. Instead, I had this spark, and all of a sudden it hit me. And this voice from inside says, FDR was in a wheelchair and he did okay. I can do this. I'm not going to quit and give up. And so, even at one of the darkest points, I was able to see the light that I needed to keep going. And I was able to envision a different scenario when I very easily could have gone the other way and become despondent and quit. Now, over the next 3 years, when I overdid it as a young lawyer, I had two subsequent MS flare ups where I lost vision in each of my eyes due to lesions of my optic nerves. Our body is miraculous, though, and heals itself when we care for it properly. And although I have some residual nerve damage, thank God I've now gone almost 18 years without another flare up. But the lesson is simple. You have to listen to your inner voice when it tells you to slow down. Just like you have to listen when it tells you to get up and run into your future. Now, I wasn't always listening to that still small voice inside anymore. I was just running in circles as a young father and an entrepreneur, hoping for things to get better. For years, I saw sad eyes looking at me in the mirror, wondering why I hadn't hit my potential. I knew I wasn't living as my true self. So in the summer of 2018, I have a complete awakening. I decide I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decide to work on improving myself and start listening and growing again. I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. This 7 year journey has been extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and my personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And I want the same for you. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me. I meant to inspire others. That's what my true self is meant to do. That is what that still small voice inside has been telling me for decades. That's why I saw sad eyes in the mirror for so many years, because living as a lawyer and then clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What I want to know is, what is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today by living as your true self. So how can you do this? First, listen to your inner voice, which we're going to work on in a few minutes. Second, write down what you hear so that you can set big goals. You're going to work on that today too. And third, implement daily habits that help you live as your future self and achieve your goals. So we're going to listen to our inner voice, trust our true selves, write down what you hear so that you can set big goals, and lastly, implement daily habits that help you live as your future self today and achieve your goals. You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. Famous architect Daniel Burnham said, make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood and probably will not themselves be realized. He said, make big plans, aim high in hope and work. That's why we're here, to make big plans, to set big goals, and then create a clear plan to achieve those goals, followed by the habits that will help your future come to life. Be bold and be specific. Famous business strategist and author of Good to Great, Jim Collins, said, if you have more than three priorities, you have none. If you have more than three priorities, you have none. We're going to set no more than three priorities or big goals. Every time we set goals, no more than three. Everyone is so scattered today, trying to do everything well, that we end up giving everything only our partial attention. So if you want to thrive this year, thrive in 25, we say, and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus and say no to a lot more things. I'm going to share with you my system for setting big goals and then aligning them with quarterly and monthly goals. We can help you refine your goals and then set daily habits that will help make realizing your goals inevitable. First, here's what I do. I envision my future by meeting myself in 10 years. I write a letter from my future self to my current self to see what all I've accomplished. And I also do a meditation, which I'll share with you in a minute, of meeting my future self 10 years from now. I do this, every couple of years. I'll close my eyes and meditate for 30 minutes or longer, envisioning meeting my future self and then finding out what wisdom my future self has to share with me. We'll go through that exercise in a few minutes. After I've envisioned myself 10 years from now, I then envision myself in 3 years on my way to that big, bold future. And I set 3-year goals based on that vision. And at the beginning of each year, I then set my big goals for the next year that align with my 3-year goals. I then list quarterly priorities that I can do in the next 90 days to get me closer to my annual goals, and I update those every quarter. I then list monthly goals that help me achieve those quarterly goals, and I update that each and every month. This is true alignment and is how you bring your goals to life. I post them at my desk and on the mirror in my bathroom, in my office, and at home. And we're going to share our goals worksheet with you that we'll send to you when we send you a recap. So this true goals worksheet is a great way to go through that process of envisioning your true self, 10 plus years from now, then visioning yourself 3 years from now and setting 3-year goals, and then setting 1-year, quarterly, and monthly goals that all align. So next we'll be talking about making your daily habits align with these big goals. So make your goals big and make them simple. Take away all the nonsense that wastes your day. Get rid of all the distractions and focus in on your goals. Yeah, I see there we put or I guess we're putting the goals worksheet there. Yep. Thank you. And yeah, you're going to be able to climb higher than you ever have before using these tools because it's your time to thrive. You just need the system in order to do it. So I now want to take you on a little bit of a journey, and that's a guided visualization. So I described it a minute ago, and it's been invaluable in changing my life. And I want you to imagine your life 10 years from now. So we're going to take, give you maybe 3 or 4 minutes to do this. And I totally encourage you to take, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even longer to close your eyes in meditation, sitting comfortably in a chair or, sitting in meditation position or laying in bed, whatever it is, close your eyes and imagine on the other side of this Zoom is yourself 10 years from now. Meet your future self now. I want you to meet that person and then notice any observations about them. What are they wearing? How do they carry themselves? How do they spend their day? How do they dress? How do they seem? What do they tell you about what they've achieved? What wisdom do they have to share with you? So take a few minutes now. We're going to take, maybe 3, 4 minutes, up to 5 minutes to do this, probably about 3 or 4 minutes. And imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. And what does your future self have to share with you? How do they appear to you? What wisdom do they share? Take just a few moments to do that, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Just close your eyes or bring your gaze down low and meet your future self. Okay. You're just going to take maybe another 30 seconds or so. Enjoy the last few moments of visiting with your future self, and you can always come back and do this after the workshop today. All right. I hope you enjoyed that time meeting with your future self. And again, I really encourage you to do this exercise when you can take a half hour or so and do this. I've found it to be deeply meaningful. And then you want to journal about it. So we're going to give you a journal prompt now, which will, just take a few moments to do. And what did your future self show you? Meaning, what did you learn? What wisdom did you garner? Again, you can do this, over a much longer period of time. We just want to give you the tools in this workshop today to be able to start these practices to, discover your true self and what you want to do. And then we're going to create goals that align with those. So you want to journal, and we're going to take about 2 minutes to do this. And that is, what did your future self show you? And then what are three goals that align with your future self? And let's just call it three-year goals. What are three things you could achieve, 3 years from now that would help you get to your future self in 10 years? What are three goals that align with your future self? Three things you could do over the next 3 years that would help you get to your future self. So take 2 minutes to journal that. Again, definitely you want to come back to these, after today's workshop. Okay, let's go ahead and bring back. If anyone wants to share, let me know if you want to share, put in the chat, or, by all means, raise your hand. Happy to have you come on camera and take yourself off mute if you do want to share. Anyone want to share what they might have learned from meeting with their future self, or maybe share any of the goals that may align with your future self? Again, like we always do, if you want to share, great. If not, no worries. But if you do want to get some feedback on it, happy to help. All right. Well, I hope you found that to be a meaningful exercise. I certainly know that it's been impactful for me and has changed the trajectory of my life. I'm living the life of my dreams now that I set a few years ago just by going through these. Yeah, like Chad said, done this a few times. You learn new things each time. Yeah, I'm always learning new things, and my vision for my life continues to grow and evolve. And doing these exercises help continue that growth. So that version of you that you just met, that is confident and calm and clear, that version's not that far away. But that version of you lives on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And the truth is, you don't think your way into becoming your future self. You have to experience your way into it. And that's exactly why I created the Thrive in 25 course I mentioned earlier. It's an 8-week immersive experience designed to help you reconnect with your truth and rewire how you show up in the world and accomplish your big goals. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. But for now, just know it's real, and your future self is waiting for you. So now I want to talk about building the habits that reinforce who you are. How do you align the habits that will reinforce that version of yourself that you just met, that true self? We're going to turn that vision into repeatable, grounded action. So we're going to talk about how aligned habits shape our identity over time. When I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult and awkward at first. I don't know why it felt awkward. I think I thought maybe my wife or, sons would walk in and think, what's this crazy guy doing sitting in the lotus position, eyes closed, in my office. And, it felt awkward. I don't know why, but, I stuck with it, and it became natural and heartfelt and habitual. And now I do it almost every day, and it's a part of my daily life. And habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits, like smoking or using weed or staying up too late. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to break them. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. My favorite quote, it actually hangs in my office right behind my desk. By retraining your brain to live a more positive, productive, and happy life, you're more easily able to achieve your goals. So even if you've done the same negative routine for decades, your brain can be reprogrammed through deliberate practice. Again, we are what we repeatedly do. So if you want to see and do things differently, then set new habits and do them repeatedly. It doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, you can retrain your brain for love, happiness, and success. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals real. To get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. So we're going to talk about, we provided the goals worksheet that help you go from your true self to your long-term goals to your short-term goals that help you get to the long-term goals. And next, we're going to start talking about habits. So tracking your habits is really important. And we have a resource for this as well called the Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker. There's a saying that goes, you can't improve what you don't measure. So you want to measure and track that which you want to improve. You want to track your habits and make them come to life. You don't want to wait for your future just to happen just because you envisioned it. You want to start being that person you're meant to be now. It helps to measure and track your progress. All those things that you envision about your future self, you can start doing today. And to race towards your future, it's much easier to create and measure the habits that bring you closer to the person you want to be. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. You want to make it simple. The Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker that we created is just a simple way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. The chart's broken out by week. You just write the habits you want to work on, practice, or maybe regularly improve, or they'll help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. In other words, those things that improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. Maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a financial goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds tracking my intermittent fasting and tracking it on an app. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your big goals. The habit tracker is a great way to do that on paper or digitally. I just want to mention, though, and you may hear me say it again, is if you're tracking it on your phone or on computer, don't use your phone or screens or anything for the first hour you're awake each day, except to turn off an alarm, maybe play some positive music, or listen to a book while you work out or meditate. You may get stuck on an app that you use to track your habits and then switch to checking emails or texts. The point in this is orienting your day properly is essential to living a life of joy. Don't check emails, text, social media, or communicate with anyone other than yourself for the first hour you're awake. So I don't necessarily track this, but it's worth tracking if you find the phone addiction taking you from setting your intention for the day. I've been tracking daily habits now for over 5 years, and we are what we repeatedly do. Now, mine changes slightly from quarter to quarter based on what I'm working on or trying to improve, but many of the habits that I've been tracking for the last 5 years have remained the same. For example, I used to wake up and meditate, and I would track, wake up and meditate and then journal. But last year, when I was working on my first book, Light in the Mirror, I added write from 5:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. as my first activity of the day when there are no disruptions and my brain is in the right state. Nothing else has interrupted my day, and I don't look at the phone. So I was in the zone, just a free flow and write. That habit helped me hit the goal of writing my book in 6 months because I did it every day and I tracked it. I made that commitment to myself and I hit my goal. Here are the habits that I'm currently tracking each day. So um, I'm currently tracking sleep by 10, meaning sleep by 10 p.m. So I start by tracking, the night before, wake by 5 a.m., meditate, journal, 1 hour flow on my top priority, read a spiritual book and read the Tao Te Ching, which I'm including because I'm working on a book called Lead with Spirit right now. And then 30 to 60 minutes of quality content per day, meaning a book or a video that inspires me or teaches me something, exercise or yoga, and lastly, PM journal. And my evening journal is just a quick, what are my wins for the day? How do I want to show up tomorrow? And what are my big three things that I want to accomplish tomorrow? What are my big three priorities for the next day? Again, no more than three. So is this perfect? No. Do I get to every single habit every single day? Sadly, no. Life gets in the way and I may miss one or two of them. But on the days when I'm at my best, I do hit them all. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. And I make time for them. I make sure I do these like my life depends on it because you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. And as I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. Track what works best for you. Those are what works for me. Something else may work better for you. Look at your goals you're setting. See what you need to do to hit those goals or live as the person who would hit those goals and make those areas your daily habits. What is the person you dream of doing, the person you dream of being? What do they do each day? You journaled about the vision for yourself in 10 years. What does your future self do each day that you aren't doing now? Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day, and you'll quickly become your future self. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me and holding myself accountable by tracking it. A few years ago, I guess maybe 4 years ago, I envisioned my future self and I wrote a letter to myself from my future self. I then took those actions that my future self took to be there, and I started dressing like that person I had envisioned. And it was me, but different. It was the me I wanted to become and started transforming into the person I wanted to become. I started tracking the habits that my future self would do, and I did them. And I started to become that person. Now, did I reach him fully? No, not yet. But my vision of my future self continues to grow, and new habits will emerge as I evolve. So the question is, who do you want to become? And next, are you fired up? Are you excited to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. We're working on implementing those habits that'll get you to be your future self, to hit your goals. We're here to thrive this year, to thrive in 25, to set big goals. But this year, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. And so that's why we're giving you these tools. I want you to experience that which I've experienced, living it as my true self and doing those things that I've always wanted to do. And we've created a system for doing it. So next, I want to take you through a little bit of live habit mapping. We're going to provide you the habit tracker, which is there in the chat. You can access it now. We'll also email it to you with a replay of this video from this course. So you're going to have that in your inbox after this course. So also, I want to share with you, these resources and make them available to you. But right now, I want to give you a journal prompt. We're going to get back to the journal. What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self, meaning yourself in 3 years? What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self? And again, work on these a little bit now, but you also want to take time after the workshop to go through the true self and the goals worksheet that we provided and the habit tracker. So for now, maybe just take a couple minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and journal. What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self? And like it says there, you want to make these habits that are aligned with your 3 big goals that you had set a few minutes ago when we did the last section on meeting your future self. When we said, what are 3 goals you could implement that would help you become your future self? So take, yeah, 2 or 3 minutes right now. Just what are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self? Right. Hopefully you've worked on some of those habits and have a better understanding, of what those things are that you can do each day. And it doesn't have to be every day. I mean, some people ask me sometimes, do I need to do these things every day? I mean, it may be that you want to work out 3 days a week, or maybe just during the work week you want to, meditate or journal, or get into a spiritual routine a few days a week. This doesn't mean you have to do it every single day, but there are habits that you put in place that help you achieve those goals that you're setting. So now I want to talk to you a little bit now that we've talked about, envisioning our big future, our true self, and then we've gone to, envisioning, longer term goals, and then we break that down into shorter term goals, and then habits that will help you achieve those goals and live as your true self. But things don't always go perfectly. So now I want to talk about overcoming setbacks and building resilience, meaning reinforce emotional safety and long term commitment. We want to normalize the fact that there are always challenges in life. It's never 100% perfect. But once you create this system, you can't stop. You got to keep going. So when you set aligned goals and build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results, you're actually becoming someone new. I talked a little bit earlier about a goal I'd set that didn't work out and why. And that is in April 22, I launched a new off-grid company called HomeGrid in direct response to the new role that home took after COVID. So we were burning through cash to support this expanding team and a marketing budget, and we weren't getting the investor interest we had hoped to. And our team was doing a great job, but by October of 22, I ended up having to make the heartbreaking decision to let go of our team, people I cared about deeply and loved. And that October day, I took this long walk in the woods after I had to let people go. And I went deeper in the woods than I ever had before, way past the trail and the path. And I was heading towards the lake, way past the lake near my house. And thorns started pulling at my pants. I was in deep, deep, thick brush. And I didn't know if I could find a way through. And I wasn't sure which way to go. But I looked over at a creek and I thought, well, that creek runs back to the lake. So I pulled off my shoes and I rolled my pants up, put my feet in the cold water, and I started walking through the creek. And I thought, as I walked through that creek, we always find a way through. And it stuck with me. We always find a way through. When you take a risk, listen to your inner voice and pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process. When you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, you end up much further ahead than you were before. You can't stay comfortable in one spot. You got to keep going and keep growing. And tracking your habits isn't a test. You aren't competing with others. You're keeping track so that you can improve. And some weeks won't be as strong as others. But you can't beat yourself up about it. If you want to live in bliss, then keep tracking your habits and keep improving. A few weeks ago, it was Memorial Day weekend. My wife ruptured her Achilles. And I said, we have 5 kids ranging from 3 to 16. And I mean, our life just ground to a halt. My wife ended up having to have surgery and was bedridden for over 6 weeks. And all of a sudden, I'm the sole parent for 5 kids, and I'm taking care of her and trying to, do my work running 2 different companies. And it was just about impossible. So obviously, I was way off my habits. And sort of my goals for that month, I had to push back a little bit. But having this format in place of having your goals clear and your habits tracked, you're able to quickly get back. So you aren't always going to feel this balance that comes with true alignment. Either busy life takes us from our healthy habits like sleep, meditation, journaling, or exercise, or something happens that actually takes you out of your routine, or something gets in your mind. Those negative recurring thoughts take over again. It's not always perfect. But the more you work at it and trust your future self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy or too distracted to take just a couple seconds to look in the mirror and say, I love you. You're never too tired to put your hand on your heart and say, I love you as you drift off to sleep. You got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. When your computer stops working and that dreaded spinning wheel gets on the screen, you press the power button for a restart or you hit Control Alt Delete. That's your reboot. This brings you back to your true self. It brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. And like Eileen put there, life happens when you're busy making other plans. So true. But once you head down this path and see the light it brings you, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee the light in the mirror and all around you, even when you have bad days. Those days get shorter and less frequent when you're clear on your goals and you're tracking your habits. You can change the trajectory more quickly. Your habits keep you going and help you get back to who you're meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, get back up, keep tracking your habits, and find your alignment with yourself yet again. So that's what you do when things set you off. And we want to proceed to closing here in just a minute, but we want to make sure this transformation truly takes hold. So I want to ask you a question, which you can put in here, and then I'm going to keep going. And I'm going a little bit fast today. I actually have to take my son to the airport in a little bit, and usually, I go a little bit slower. You may hear me going a little bit quickly today, but I do want to know from you, and you can put your answer in the chat. What's one insight from today that you're taking with you and living as your true self starting today? So, what's one insight from today that you're taking with you to start living as your true self? So as I continue, you can drop something in the chat or maybe put it down in your journal so that you note something that you're going to take with you and work on. And, look, now it's time to climb into the shuttle, put your spacesuit on, and get to the launch pad to skyrocket into space. Look, staring at the stars is inspiring, but it won't make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. A lot of preparation goes into launching a spaceship to blast off in the celestial hemisphere. But the voyage only begins with the decision to climb aboard and fly through the atmosphere that stands between you and your destination. It's the same in life. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind, and it seems like it's either impossible or it's taking forever to get there. But it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. You can either continue to go through the motions or live the life you're meant to live. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stare at the stars, or you can launch yourself into space. You can stay in that same painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone, or you can play with your kids. You can stay up late watching TV, or you can get up early and meditate. You can busy yourself on social media or email, or you can make real progress on your goal. You can be miserable in the relationship you've outgrown, or you can find true love with that person that brings out the best in you. You can sing the song you're meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all choices. And I understand some of these are tough choices, but they are all yours and yours alone to make. There's a beautiful quote that I absolutely love that says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Your life is only created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of love, happiness, and bliss by deciding to do so and then taking action to live that way. But staying tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk it will take for you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired. Remember that Mandela quote from earlier in the workshop. There's no passion in playing small, in settling for life that is less than the one you are capable of living. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Do not play small. Do not settle. You know what you're capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter that much. Most people spend their days accomplishing small tasks and going through a bunch of little actions and lost on the phone instead of taking big actions for significant blocks of time to get seemingly impossible goals completed. The digital world and fast paced modern life have trained us to feel busy but not very productive. All the busyness keeps us from designing a bold vision for our lives and then planning out that journey and the small habits that get us there. As Les Brown put it, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Do not aim for these low targets accomplished by menial tasks. Aim high. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what was recommended here today, you'll find true freedom and happiness. So you can make excuses or you can wake up with intention. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. And then implement the steps described today to return to your natural state and be the person that you are meant to be. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until that voice inside you is suppressed to a faint whisper and you don't hear it anymore. You know what you need to do. If you pause for a minute to listen, to truly listen to your inner voice, you'll hear your higher power, your inner voice calling you to be the force for great good in this world that you are meant to be. Listen to it, write it down, and then every day do what's necessary to get you closer to being that brilliant light you're meant to be. See the light in the mirror each day and watch it glow and grow. Life is to be lived and lived out loud. Life is to be enjoyed with enthusiasm. Love is to be shared and spread far and wide. The journey isn't always smooth, and roadblocks always up unexpectedly, but the tools provided today help make the journey smoother and get you around the roadblocks faster. I'm always happy to help guide you on your journey and uh, to help you climb to meet that future self that you met earlier. As your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Walk into the bathroom, step in front of that mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out in the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, with your goals set and your habits aligned, put down the phone, turn off the negative news, and just listen to that still small voice inside. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear and turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to be the person you are meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. So, if this workshop woke something up in you, know that the Thrive in 25 8-week course we created was designed to help you keep this energy alive. It's 8 weeks of deep reset for your purpose, your identity recalibration, and personal expansion. So if you're curious, open, or even just intrigued, you can scan a QR code that we're going to share with you and a link. And it's about a course we're going to have in a few weeks. And we'll send information about it in a recap email following the workshop, which will have, the True Goals worksheet and the habit tracker in it as well. So you'll know if it's for you because you've already met that version of yourself that lives on the other side of that. So if you're ready to transform your life and get clear on your big goals, then join us. You can scan QR code we'll provide for the 8-week Thrive in 25 course and find out more. And you can set up free coaching call with one of our coaches to see if it's right for you. So thank you all for joining today. And remember, I love you and love your true self. Thank you for your patience and your time today. And, stay on to answer any questions. I did mention I do have to go in just a moment because I got to take my son to the airport. Usually I stay on for Q&A, but Chad Hagen is here. Chad and I work closely together on everything we do for this course, for the True Self Project, and for Inspiration Nation. So Chad's happy to take any of your questions and if you want any feedback. But you got your homework here. I think Chad will probably cover that now. And thank you all so much. Best wishes for finding your true self, implementing your habits, and aligning those habits with your goals. All right. Thank you so much. See you all soon.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. And yeah, of course. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We love doing these, try to do them as much as we can. And we do them usually every week. And it's always just great to be able to share some of this information and this knowledge that we've kind of accumulated over many, many years. So I am going to play bad cop today. I am going to assign you some homework, which this is just the exercise that we did earlier with a little something else tacked on. Take some extra time. We did it for about 5 minutes earlier today, but take 15 to 20 minutes. Imagine meeting yourself in 10 years and, just kind of assess yourself, have a conversation with them. Eileen, I see your chat. The talks on this workshop specifically are usually like the agenda is generally the same. Depending on kind of how many people we have per workshop, sometimes the flow will change a little bit, and obviously new things kind of come up. But for the most part, these ones on Thursdays are the same. However, we will have new workshop series starting very soon. So I'm actually going to put up this for you. If you'd like to follow us on any of these platforms, we'll always announce whenever we have a new workshop coming up or new free resources or anything like that. So definitely encourage you to scan the QR code with your camera on your phone and give us a follow. We don't update terribly regularly. It's not like we spam or anything like that, but we'll definitely update them with any resources and things like that. And after this workshop, speaking of resources, we'll be sending out an email that has everything that we discussed, from the habit tracker to the goal setting worksheet. And we also have this new resource that we're going to share, which is the Epic Daily Routine Checklist. These are basically all things that just work together to get you fully in alignment. So hopefully, this workshop today inspired you guys. Hopefully Ben was able to show that alignment is possible. It just takes a little bit of reframing of kind of the way that you think about your goals and your habits and why they exist. With that, the workshop is over at this point, but I'm here if you have any questions, or if you'd like any feedback on some of the goals or the habits that you talked about. So yeah, feel free to drop them in the chat. Feel free to come off camera or unmute yourself if you have any questions. And if not, have a wonderful day and an amazing weekend.